Welcome to our podcast, where we discuss and meet with people, businesses, and trades that have motivated and inspired us along the way of creating our own business, River Road Brewing and Hops. I'm your host, Nikki Andrew, the original River Road Blonde, and this is Down River Road. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Down River Road. It's been a little bit, but we're back and we're rolling. We're doing things like we used to do all the time. Today, I have an awesome guest with me. I'm pretty excited about it. Nat's here.
Hey, Maddie. Hi. I'm excited too.
So Nat's a very, very good friend of mine from a very long time ago. We've been friends for...
I've known of you since I moved to Bayfield when I was a kid.
When you were little.
Your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I moved in probably obviously 9 months before Maddie was born. So. And I have a 10-year-old. So
11 years
10
now.
plus years.
Yeah. It makes us old. But first of all, before we do anything, we're going to pour ourselves some beer. So the beer that we're drinking is called Things We Don't Say. Things We Don't Say is a collaboration beer that we did with multiple breweries around the world. So this isn't just like your collaboration beer with local breweries. This is a worldwide beer that was brewed. And what it's for is to raise money for mental health awareness.
Yeah.
There's a few different groups that we donate money towards for each can that's sold, but it's the same basic recipe that each brewery can add a little bit to make it their own. So we have made it our own slightly. It's got some really great flavors to it. It is an IPA, so I hope you like IPAs.
Good choice, Nikki.
I know. It's what I do. I make choices.
Tastes like delicious beer on an angle.
There you go. So you got this.
Yeah. I served for one day in my life at Harry's restaurant and never again.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Awesome. So let's talk a little. We'll take a sip first. Tell me what you think. It's pretty good stuff.
Oh, I haven't had beer in a long time.
Wow. And
It's
I gave you an
really
IPA.
good.
It's like grapefruit juice. It's good.
It tastes so good.
I know. It's yummy.
Oh, this is great. Thanks, Nikki.
You have to say those things. So Nat's like a little sister to me. She always has been. I don't know. I just have that natural instinct with you.
You are a caretaker, though. You got a big heart. You take care of everybody.
Thanks.
You're kind of the mama.
Yeah.
Like the mama hen.
The mama hen?
Yeah, you are.
I guess we can call it that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thanks
you
for making
definitely
me feel so old.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how we met.
That's a pretty wild story.
Yeah.
Hold on, everyone. No.
This could get fun. Buckle up.
Yeah. No, I moved back. This will put a little bit of chronology into my work too, because I own a hair shop in Bayfield, and I moved from London because I started dating this really hot guy. He's like a wild ginger man. So I moved back to Bayfield to open a salon under Kristen from Cry Art's guidance.
Yes.
Bless her artistic heart. She called me at 3 a.m. being like, you should rent Roger Lewington's shop. So I did. Anyway, so I was living, I moved back with my parents to start up the business. And their house burned down. And really of course it did.
Yeah.
I was at work. Yeah. Anyway, so I moved in with Nikki. At the little apple cottage, right?
Yeah. So on our property, we have, I guess it's like a cottage. It's kind of like a cottage.
It's tasty. Yeah, it's a cute little spot.
It's like a little rental unit that we have. We rent out yearly.
Yeah, you were like, here's some clothes. Here's clothes, and I'll take care of you.
My poor little Nat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I moved out to the River Road spot.
Yeah. It was awesome.
It was awesome. It was like, you were like, come take care, take a load off.
Come take a load. Don't even worry about the fact that your house just lit on fire.
Yeah, you have no belongings.
Yes.
That's fine.
Animals that need to go places, and
Yeah, it was wild.
It was insane. It was a really busy time.
Yeah, and then a couple months later, it was like, surprise, you're having a baby.
Yeah, not me, you.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, and Maddie was the apple orchard baby.
Yeah, she's so sweet. She was so sweet. And that was a fun and interesting time in my life, because we were just transitioning on the farm. We were learning all the do's and don'ts of living on a farm.
Yeah.
And it was a little chaotic.
It was nice for the kids all to have each other.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
really liked that. It was
great.
And you were great support.
Well, I mean,
you're like, I have had children and I understand.
like my first son was born, I was young.
You were young.
I was 17 when I had him. So I kind of knew, you weren't 17, but I knew what it was like.
I was really young.
You were young.
I was young for my age too. I've always been a fairly sheltered person.
I wouldn't say sheltered.
I would.
Yeah.
Base
I'm
life,
not going to lie. I would say that.
Yeah, being a base brat is like you literally grow up in a compound.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. Where did you, as growing up, your dad was in the military.
Both my parents were. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of traveling basically around Canada.
Yeah. I mean, and it's different. Like it's not like traveling in the sense of like, you get to go to like Canada's Wonderland and then you're visiting Niagara Falls. It's like you move from one military compound to another military compound. And I'm really proud of my parents for their professions. They're both like brilliant people who,
absolutely.
And that's a difficult job. You like give up a sense of self when you join the military. And you live in a prefabricated home and you go to school on base, you do all of your like physical training on base, you just like never leave base. So I lived in like the East Coast and the West Coast and then Ontario, and my mom's from Bayfield. So when they retired, took early retirement, we moved in with my grandmother to take care of her. So that's how I landed.
That's how you landed back in
when
area.
I was 13. Yeah. So I did like a lot of my years on base, like from birth in Halifax, Nova Scotia to 13 years old now you're from Huron County.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'm the new girl. But it was like I play the bagpipes and I like to do drill. It wasn't like I play guitar and I'm like really mysterious.
You fit in well
like
here.
That. Yeah.
So that can have a lot to do with the way that you're brought up in those circumstances. There's a lot of structure on a military base. Like,
it's super authoritarian
even though you're not in the military yourself as a kid.
No, but you still go and like watch your parents on parade and like there's a lot of things that are structurally very different. Yeah. Lifestyle wise. And civilian life is like, it was a big culture shock for my brothers and I. And that's the thing. I'm lucky. I have many brothers, so like whenever I went to different public schools.
You're the only girl out of your whole family, and there's a lot of brothers.
I'm very special.
Yeah,
I've got my own room. I always started with like a cool kids club, like my own posse of brothers. Awesome. So I was never like alone starting all over again.
But it's not an easy transition.
No, I think it made me be able to be like
independent,
a people person too.
Yeah,
because you're always having to like meet people. So I
guess that makes it easier too. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it makes it easier, but you have the ability to do it without a hitch.
Yeah, there's some things that like you definitely can see when like it's like nurture versus nature. Nature is like I need to go inward and like be artistic alone away from everyone to recharge.
Yeah.
But the nurture part of me is like Natalie, you can tell when she's in a crowded room of all the people because she's talking way too loud and she's like cornered somebody and they're like talking warp speed because that's how I adapt. Yeah, it's like super fast.
Because then you don't get a word in and I just sit back and go,
Yeah. And then you realize you're doing it and I realize I'm doing it and my face gets hot and then I just do it more.
I love it. It's the best. So 13, you moved to this area. But then you moved away again when you were a little older.
Yeah, I moved to London.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also got to go to Halifax for a while.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I loved it there. And then I drove across the transatlantic highway, pulling a U-Haul of all my uncle's belongings back to Blythe.
Super fun.
Loved that.
Yeah, super fun.
Loved it.
Best time ever.
It was cool. It's cool to get away and be like, I'm a very romantic person.
Yeah,
so I romanticize anything. Like if I find a lost dog, I'm like, their owner is going to be the love of my life. This beagle's owners love my life, obviously, because that's how the world works.
Yeah, obviously.
But like, yeah.
It's like a constant movie that's playing out in your
always
head.
Playing in my head. It's like Nora Roberts just turning the pages for me.
And next time.
Exactly. But yeah, so like getting to like be a young adult in like Halifax. So I was like, whoa, this is the most romantic thing in my life. Or like going to London was really good for like my artistic need. But I'm like a very community based person.
Yeah.
I moved enough as a kid. So like Bayfield was the first place that I was like, I'm really accepted here and people know me and they care for my well-being and I care for their well-being. And that's why it was just like, of course I had the chance to like, I was doing some rad hair in London when I was there. I felt like I was a rock star. I was making too much money.
It was amazing.
I was making way too much money there.
You're having a lot of fun too. You're young.
I was loving it. Like I was leaning more towards getting out of doing just like regular service hair and doing more like fashion show hair and theater hair. And that was like the avenue that was kind of like feeding my soul because I'm artsy-fartsy that way.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, I just got grounded. But not in a way of like, you're grounded.
Yeah.
Grounded in a way
not
of
in
like,
a bad way,
go home.
Yeah. And I think...
have a baby.
I don't know.
Have a mysterious child.
Have a baby all of a sudden. That seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes life just happens to you too.
But in a good way. I think like I had the same draw. I lived in London, then Stratford, bought my first house in Stratford. And it was like this draw to come back to this area. And I think it's because it's all about the community, right? Like you're constantly surrounded by people that appreciate you and enjoy your company and all
like
that
seeing
kind of
your
stuff.
dad. Seeing your dad is like a warm hug on the street and all he has to do is this.
Yeah, and he does do that.
He does it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, Dawn, thanks for the hug, bud. You know?
Oh, yeah, Dad.
He's good stuff. I like him.
I went to get my hair cut yesterday at Nat's and new do.
That looks good.
And my dad pulls up beside me.
You know,
Like,
my dad did
so
before
hard.
I left. I was like, I gotta go.
And I'm like, yeah, Dad, just keep going. This is embarrassing.
Small
I still
towns.
get embarrassed by my dad.
I know, same.
Yes.
Like horribly. I'm like, Dad,
Horrible.
you're in shop bike again in your pajama pants.
Yeah, this is not okay. And I know all these people.
Ooh, I'm
hot. So you own a salon.
I own a salon.
That's impressive.
It is. It was. It's definitely been like it's a roller coaster. That's what my hand's doing.
Yeah.
Really? Yes. It was like moved home, opened Expressions Hair Design. That was the name that came with it. And I always had the ideal that someday I would change it to like the Bayfield Beauty Parlor, beauty shop. But I didn't because I didn't know how to run a business back then. And
you were young when you opened
then
business.
I had a baby and like I didn't this is getting deep.
Yeah.
But I didn't come into mothering naturally. Like I had my own like previous hurts from like a lack of a nurturing kind of mother position abandonment issue from childhood. And then Danielle stepped up to the role of being my mother when I was younger, and she's wonderful and I love her. But when I had a child, I was like, okay, it just cries all the time and I don't know what to do with it. And I don't know how to feel love for this baby. And I also had like this weird, like a weird, like loss of my youth, right? Because I wasn't planning on having a child, but I made choices that led to me being a mother, and I was going to rise to the occasion and not be a bolter. Yeah. And, it was like severe postpartum depression.
You had some
like
pretty
manic.
horrible postpartum.
Yeah.
And I think it was during a time too, and I'm not saying that postpartum depression wasn't recognizable back then as well, but it was less recognizable. People weren't talking about it as much as they are now.
Yeah. 10 years ago, it was a little bit more like, we fell off the horse.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever the
something
saying
is happening with Nat. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Right.
But now we recognize it as postpartum depression. And you were diagnosed with that too. Like that wasn't just that wasn't
I had
us
to be
just putting a label on it. That was an actual, like
that was when it kind of hit a climatic part, the journey of like the salon, if we're talking about the chronology of owning the salon.
That, yep, for sure.
After Madeline was born, she was about 8 months old. And that's when I was like really sick and had to be hospitalized because I was like suicidal, very sick
in
with
a bad
postpartum
spot,
depression.
for sure.
Yeah, and you guys were really great. You guys were all really great, and you were there for me. And I called Danielle from the third floor, Danielle Demers. She was my coworker at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to come to work tomorrow because I thought I was just going to be dead, right?
Right.
And then she was like, okay. And I was like, I can't actually come to work for the next 2 weeks because they won't let me out of the hospital. And I'm sorry, but I need you to take over the salon and say that you're going to like be the owner of the salon. Cause like that was one more thing I couldn't.
You just couldn't handle.
I couldn't handle. I didn't have a glass. My glass was empty.
Yeah.
You know?
Or too full.
too full.
Too
That's
full.
Those are sayings that people say.
Yeah.
And then she was really great. She took over the beauty shop, and she made our vision come to life. And it was continued to like carry on this beautiful shop. And when I was ready and I got the care that I needed, I came back and I started working full time, and Maddie went into daycare, and I fell in kind of to like a normalcy.
Yeah.
I had to go some pretty radical healing.
I think you had to get to that point though, where you started to feel more confident in yourself too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That's as a mother, as a person in society, like there's so much pressure that's put on people that are young, new mothers, not married, all that things that people, especially in this area, and I hate to stereotype, but in this area specifically, there's a lot of it's a lot of old school ways of doing things.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So there's a lot of pressure that's put on people, and it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be mad, and it's okay to have all those feelings, but you're kind of taught to tuck those under the rug.
Yeah, because you just got pushed through.
Yeah,
and it's like sometimes you don't.
Yeah,
sometimes you need to go and get healed. Do some healing.
The best part about it is that you did get the help that you needed.
Right.
And you did come through, and now you feel that I feel you're a stronger person because of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
The renewal retreat, Therese Bowler Cook, amazing woman. Like so good at her craft.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's lots of great psychotherapists in this area too. Mm-hmm. Really wonderful people. I definitely had to undergo different stages. There was for a long time I was just medicated, and then I just got through my 9 to 5.
Yep.
And I was able to do that and carry on being a mother and a business professional and keep some friendships. And then it got to a point where I felt like, I'd done enough psychotherapy and been medicated for so long that I really wanted to see if I could. Because to me, there was risk benefit. There was a little bit of, there was definitely benefits in there, but there was this I wanted to be able to fully feel things again. Because I felt like for a long time, the medication that I was given, it stopped me from being suicidal, and it made me a productive human. But it also would be I'd be watching Madeline doing something so incredible, and I would feel nothing.
Yeah, that's a really hard thing.
Or be watching the most magnificent sunset, and I'd feel nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people should go off their medication. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying my personal experience was that I needed to try and find a more radical form of self-love and self-healing.
Yeah.
And ended up just radically changing my life. I had to change my circumstance, the way that I showed up to work, my relationship, my living situation, what I put into my body. I had timed out when I ate, when I slept. I was physical I got my heart rate up for so many hours, and that is what it looked like for me. That's kind of what I've continued on.
But that's the way that if that's what helps you, then that's what you have to do.
Yeah, for sure. I notice everything now. If I don't get enough sleep, it's
yeah, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Yeah. Yeah. I was diagnosed with depression, and anxiety, mostly anxiety. That's what they really pinned on me when I was younger, but then into my late 30s.
Yeah.
And it took me a bit. I was on medication for quite a long time, and it was I did get off again. If you're on medication, please don't just stop taking your medication.
No, I'm I have medication at home.
Yeah.
I take acutely now.
Yes,
essentially.
Exactly. Same,
I try and maintain it with my diet, exercise, lifestyle.
But it is a lot about changing your lifestyle and learning how and what to recognize.
Right.
What the signs are.
Right. And that's more of a holistic model of healing, which is something that deeply interests me.
Which is amazing. Yeah. So let's move on to that.
I'm ready to geek out.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about your first let's talk about how you got into. So Nat is, I would like to say, herbalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I say that safely?
Yeah, for sure.
What else would you label yourself
right
as?
Now I'm labeling myself as a folk herbalist because I make the medicine 100% from planting a seed in the earth to full conception to harvest.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
So, but I'm in training to become a clinical herbalist, which is definitely going to be probably many more years. But I've been in school in its totality. I've been in school for 6 years for herbalism under various guidances of different herbalists. So right now I'm studying under, I'm a fangirl under my herbalist. His name's Seja Papam, and he's incredible.
You've told me about him a few times.
Yeah. So he's like, he studied biochemistry at Bastyr University, but he has like traveled all over and has studied under like traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic and Arabic medicine, and mixed it in with more like Western pharmacological medicine, and kind of made a holistic model of how to be a clinical herbalist practitioner.
Right.
And that is like my life goals.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I would love to keep the shop and be a hairdresser and be like part of the community, and then also be like part-time clinical herbalist.
But it might turn into more than part-time. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a growing need for that kind of that kind of medication, that kind of lifestyle. I
agree.
Yeah.
I think that especially for me, that is like that is something that I'm able to like, I think that I'm thriving in my best life now because of something like that. I went to more of a holistic approach and less of an allopathic approach. The allopathic approach kept me on earth. 100% I wouldn't be here if it weren't for pharmacological allopathic medicine.
Yeah.
And I'm super thankful for that. And for the doctors who put all the time in and did all their studies and the medicine that's provided that way. But I think in order to live my best life in body, mind, spirit alignment, and that's not me just like wearing a bunch of wooden beads, you know, smoking a bunch of ganja, saying that. It's a real thing. I feel like if you're lacking in one part of your life, you'll notice that you don't have a leg to stand on, or you're starting to struggle, or that's where dis-ease comes in your lifestyle. So it's being able to like look at a person for more than just like arthritic gout.
Yeah.
And being like, here's a herb for arthritic gout. This is the action that happens on this like tissue state, or this affinity that
where
you have.
Is that coming from? And
right.
Yeah. Learning a little bit more about, you have arthritic gout, but why?
Yeah. And like what
can we do to get to the bottom of that?
100%.
Yeah. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And like being able to like, definitely like prescribe herbs to, ease that dis-ease that you have in order for your body to perform radical healing upon itself.
Yeah.
So I'd love like the day where I can work with like naturopathic doctors, or work with what is
like a geneticist or
No, I was thinking more like an astrological standpoint of that, because there's, what is that called? Anyways, it's fleeting. It's left me.
It's gone.
It's left me.
And it's gone.
Anyways, but being able to work part and parcel is like for holistic healing for people is like, that's my passion.
So where did that stem from?
Healing myself.
Yeah.
100%.
But like, okay, so let's go back to that a little bit. When you started to, you're on your medication, you're learning to deal with depression, anxiety, and all those kind of things in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stemmed, like what? I mean, typically you're like, okay, here's my pill. I take it every day.
Yeah.
What made you go, okay, and now I know that there's this herb that if I learned how to manipulate that, I would do better off with. Like, where did that come from?
It started with like, I had to go out in nature all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be like hiking a lot. And then I kind of had met a couple people who were like interested in foraging.
Yeah.
So then I started wild foraging a lot of my food. And then I got really interested in the gut and the brain connection. And I don't have any allergens or things that I would say that I have allergic reactions to. But I definitely know that there was healing to do in my gut.
Mm-hmm.
I would have like bloating reactions and irritant reactions to certain foods I put in my body. So I just like decided not to put those things in my body. And a lot of it was just garbage.
Yeah.
So it just made sense to like not put that in my body. So it was the easiest thing, starting with elimination.
Yeah.
Going in the woods, connecting to the earth.
Yeah.
Really easy, free things to do.
Yeah.
Eat less garbage, go outside. So that was like radical. That was a huge difference. I was like, what? I don't just like work and wallow and sleep. I now do these things, and it enriches my life. And then it turned into like, the best way to entertain Maddie too was to go out in the woods.
Of course.
So that was like a bonus for everybody. And then it slowly turned into like, I met somebody who was like, well, you should have you ever tried colonics? Sounds terrifying. Who talks about that on podcasts? I am right now. So then I started going more into like gut healing and cleansing my body of all the garbage I put in it over the years. Because I used to cake it on my face every day. I used to put so much garbage on my face. No offense to people who love to put chemicals on their face. I understand that.
Yep.
Out of everything. I was putting it everywhere. I was putting scented creams all over my body and in my armpits, and I couldn't understand why I didn't feel like well.
Yeah.
And I slowly was like, okay, I don't do those things anymore. I mean, I colored my hair, but the artist in me can't help myself. I also put a bunch of
straight to your brain cells
ink into my skin, but so I slowly just eliminated all the worst things that I was doing for myself and really simplified my life. And I think that, I think that herbalism, essentially, the first thing that kind of stuck out was just like eating wild food.
Yeah.
And then I started to learn like the medicinal benefits of eating wild food. And just like when it's easy, you're like, yellow duck root, Google uses. And it'll come up being like, oh, it's a digestive bitters. And you're like, oh, cool. But then there's like so much more. It's like this crazy rabbit hole of like the energetics that are behind it and the energetics that are in your body. And I'm not talking like energy as in like electromagnetic energy. I'm talking about like the fact that most people's bodies have like, they run hot or cold, or they run oily or dry. And like plants have the same constituents that also make them run hot or dry or stimulate heat in your body, like garlic or cayenne, or a bitter will stimulate like a cooler action to like lower inflammation. So there's all these like things that kept being tied, and I kind of started going down the rabbit hole.
That's awesome.
And then the best way, when I was like, okay, I think I really want to study herbal medicine, and Leanne Kavanaugh, because she's amazing. I just said about her.
We all
she
love
was,
them.
I love her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She was like super encouraging. She said, I think this is really good for you, and you should totally do it. So I started doing it. She was so great. I'd just come by with tinctures for her all the time, being like, you should try this.
And she enjoys it herself. So
she's for sure. She's like a full-on kitchen witch.
See, and I don't have to do any of this because I'm just like, hey guys, something's going on with my body.
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
Well, here you go.
Yep, 100%, we got you.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, so I just slowly got into that avenue because I wanted to. It was bettering my life, and I could see the impact that it was like making. It wasn't just some like hocus pocus pretend witchcraft. It's definitely on a different level. If you were a deeply, no offense, if you're a deeply unhealthy person and you take a herb and you're like, did nothing, it's because you probably have all of these layers.
Yeah, there's too much going on.
Yeah, you can't tell whether or not you're feeling pain from this or that if you're like eating McDonald's for all of your meals.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, you gotta,
I really hope people don't eat McDonald's for all of their meals, but
I'm sure there's people who do. They make it. They make it affordable.
Yeah,
they make it affordable and easy.
It's not affordable anymore. Sorry, that's
is it? I don't know what the price is.
Yeah.
I think that they try to. I think they try to be like all components of like actually just making a beef dinner.
My kids are like, expensive. Please, Mom, can we please have McDonald's? And I am not.
Not today,
Not that there's anything wrong with McDonald's. I'm not. Yeah, yes. McDonald's is a wonderful thing.
Why do they employ people? Am I being too? No, they definitely employ people. I'm sorry. I'm so honest, guys.
There are, but
there's gonna have to be like 17 trigger warnings before we stop this.
I know. I'm sorry. We'll stop talking about McDonald's. Never mind. Cut that out.
I don't think it's like, it's not like it's not common knowledge that it's bad for you.
It's not. It isn't. Yes, it is common knowledge. Moving it's not great for you. But I know my kids always want it. It's a special treat. So I get it for them every once in a while. But holy bananas, it's not cheap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not cheap anymore.
All right.
Yeah. It used to be like the cheapest thing. And when McDonald's went into Goderich, yes, I'm that old. It was a big thing.
With the smoking section of the glass.
Yeah, there was.
It can't get you.
It was totally
it can't get you.
Just went over top.
No, it was funny.
But it was such a huge thing. It was such a big,
we're old enough that I can remember smoking sections.
Thing. Yeah, I know.
I can remember smoking in the Admiral. That was allowed. Pool tables, smoking, Admiral.
Yeah. That's such not a thing anymore.
No.
So bad.
So bad.
We still have people.
I used to smoke too. That was another thing. I used to smoke.
We all did. I think that was just a normal.
I'm going to take it up when I'm 80.
Are you?
If I made it that long, I'm going to move to France. This is my retirement plan. I'm going to move to France.
I can totally see this. I can picture this in my head.
I'm going to be like this big because I'm Gollum right now. I'm going to be this big. No, I probably shouldn't ship a cat. I'll meet a cat there.
You're going to have a cat.
I'll meet a cat there. I'm going to live in my Baba's fur coats.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring those, and that's all I'm going to bring. Like nice little slips and fur coats and maybe a braid. I'm going to live off of espresso, red wine, and cigarettes. It's going to be this big.
Yeah.
It's going to be the size of my wrist.
Yes. And back to a movie playing in Nat's head all the time.
It's true.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your body art. I love it. And it's not like everybody that knows you. You have tattoos everywhere.
My daughter counted. I have 6 face tattoos. I'm like, how did I get to this point? Why didn't somebody stop me?
Because it's awesome.
They're like, Natalie,
no.
6.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't listen anyway. So we know
exactly.
that.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'm too impulsive.
So I want to go back to like a long time ago. This just always a story that like plays out in my head all the time.
Scared.
Yeah, you should be scared because this is a good story. You were pregnant, I think. I think you were pregnant with Maddie.
Yeah.
And you were doing a nude photo shoot.
Oh.
You had tattoos. You had lots of tattoos then. Mm-hmm. In my orchard.
Oh, Richard Fatoussi did
Yes, it was beautiful. I'm not saying it was a bad thing.
No.
But so my kids were in the bush with my cousin Mark, who unfortunately is no longer with us.
Oh,
we love Mark.
Yeah, poor Mark that day.
Oh man, it was the best. It's like it is a vivid memory, and I'll never forget his face when he came back to me. He's like, "Nikki, there's a naked pregnant woman in your orchard." I was like,
"Which today's
shoot, I did
today
forget
people
to tell
would
you that.
not be surprised."
No, but it was beautiful. They're beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
But that's what
he did.
You did a little bit of modeling.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did a little bit of modeling. I'm not that good at it.
I think you are.
Well, no, it's like, yeah, I can stand for a photo, but I'm not that good at it as the end result of the modeling. And not just that, it's like, I'm actually too awkward to be a subject of anybody's like work. I really am like such a goofy person.
So if you don't now, you should follow Nat on
I only have
Instagram
Instagram now.
Yeah, on your Instagram, Her Most Ardently, isn't it?
Her Most Ardently, and then my other one is Folk Craft Herbs.
Yeah.
That's more my apothecary stuff.
But the art, so in my mind, it's art. The pictures of you on that Instagram are remarkable.
Thank you.
They're beautiful.
That's kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not as goofy in a still.
No.
In a still, I'm just like just a normal person.
But if you're not, you should check it out because it is absolutely amazing. It is, to me, it's art. Like that's, it's gorgeous.
So I have
so beautiful.
Oh my God. Yeah. Stop. Keep going. Yeah. So because getting your torso done once isn't badass enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it 2 times. Psych, scratch that. The guy who was doing it was a horrible person.
Oh no.
So now I'm going to my lovely friend Scott Duncan to cover up all of his work. And he's out of the Sugar Shack in Kincardine. And I love him so much.
Fantastic.
He's like a brother to me.
Yeah.
But he's like very professional, very like safe and comforting. You should never feel like you're being bullied or manipulated by your artist. There's like this stigma around tattoo parlors where they're like super cool or something. Like they're just not a person providing a service. They're like this kind of person who's on a pedestal, who's like cooler, and you kind of have to. And I used to be like I'm not ashamed to say it, I was a fairly like weak person. I was easily manipulated when I was younger. So
was I.
Yeah, so now that I'm stronger, I'm like slowly working away at reworking all the art that I had done because I love myself.
Yeah.
And I want to see beautiful artwork when I look in the mirror at myself naked. I don't want to see like another person's hurt on me.
Right, which is not
essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
No. So Scott Duncan's working away at my torso, and it is really, I document the art on Her Most Ardently Instagram.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
So I have 3 more sits lined up, and I want to cry each time. Actually, I do cry, and it's wonderful because I never thought I could cry at a tattoo apartment. I was like, you got to sit still and you got to be super quiet and you don't move. But you're just like a human having a human experience.
It hurts.
It hurts so much, especially on the like the pelvic bone.
Yeah.
The like,
I don't know,
hips.
I only have one on my back, so
it's horrid. It's a horrid feeling, but at the same time, it's like it's a journey, and there is definitely mad significance behind it. It's not something so people can be like, whoa, that's crazy. Yeah. Like that feeds a need in my soul. There is something that,
but it's artistic.
Happening.
It's not like a skull or a snake or
like it's just like a skull and a snake too. But like
there's meaning behind it. That's what I mean. Yeah,
there's always something deeper, and you don't sit through like hours and hours and hours of excruciating pain just because you want something to look cool. Maybe you do, and you're like really hardcore. Yeah. I haven't met those people. Most people who sit through like who are working on getting a bodysuit is like a full spiritual journey.
Yeah.
The same as people who like will suspend themselves and do like really radical things that look extremely painful, but it's like all in the search of like a higher state of consciousness or like it's like usually a spiritual endeavor.
Yeah, I think it has to be.
Yeah.
For
and
you,
if it isn't for
personal.
each person, that's fine. If you just want to get your girlfriend's name, that's cool too.
That's great. Yeah, till it's not.
And then you get a cover up. Then you get a really big cover up.
Expensive cover up. Because I'm glad I never did that.
Yeah.
We did talk about getting wedding bands tattooed.
I love when people do that.
I do too. And I love my husband and I'll never leave him. But it's like that.
It's great.
It's just that, I don't know. There's something about it. Now, they did, every time we went into a tattoo parlor or a place to get tattoos, it didn't matter where we were. They were like, nope.
Really? Brendan and Sarah just got these really beautiful ones. I saw Sarah today. They're getting married soon.
It's because David is a mechanic.
Oh, he can't wear...
Well, no, he can't. Every time he scrubs his hands, he's going to be scrubbing his tattoo off.
Right.
So they're like, nope, we won't do it. I'm like, God.
Get a little toe ring.
I was like, yeah, there you go.
It's under a sock.
David would be like, look at my toe ring.
Marriage band. My symbol of love.
So you have the other Instagram page.
My folk craft ones?
Yes, or I don't know what you call it. Instagram.
Yeah.
Thing.
Folk craft is more so like I'll put on, it used to be a lot more active.
It used to be like, so that's where I learned more about herbalism, and that was in that section. But and then you stopped for a little while, but now you started again.
My life went on, like I went through a divorce and I left my family home, so it was like kind of unauthentic. Not just that, I was going through a lot of changes. I didn't have time to be like making informative videos on Achilles
No, and you needed some time to heal from, just in case you were wondering.
It's yarrow. No, I try to every once in a while when I'm doing like classwork, if I find it's really interesting, or if I have 40 minutes to myself, I'll try and put something out there to keep it active. But pardon me, it's beer. I used to have a full-on apothecary where I was making medicine from the land and everything I grew myself, and then I would make like tinctures, teas, salves, all of that old world medicine.
Which is awesome. Yep.
Yeah, and it is awesome. But
I have a bunch of it still.
But it is like, I don't think that is who I am anymore. Like I still want to be able to like when taking clinical clients, I want to be able to like take a client, go out, harvest the medicine with their intent in mind, their healing as my intention, harvest the medicine, prepare it all again with their intent in mind. I think that's what's called, like what they call putting love into it.
Right.
But actually just like make something for somebody to
it's more personalized.
Promote. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that way, it's not like, it's not garbage. It's like,
you're not just making like a random stuff for everybody. You're now making stuff for...
Exactly. I'm getting away from like the allopathic treatment of something. Like I would have like willow bark tincture for people to use as like the salicylic acid in it is like a derivative of aspirin.
Yeah.
The acetaminophen effect of it, of dulling pain. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be able to like make specific remedies for people.
Which is, that's all of these things have got you to that point, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
That's
just climbing that ladder.
Just climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
Climb the ladder of life.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like I'm just like here doggy paddling, and other times I'm like, I'm on a paddle board.
Yeah. So what's next? What's coming up next for you?
I'm going to chip away at working. I'm going to work my butt off at the salon.
Yeah, which is amazing.
I'm going to keep doing that. I love seeing people.
You know what? You were probably... So my sister's a hairdresser.
She's so good.
She owned a salon, and then she's moved on from that. She's retired.
Yeah.
Probably one of the only people I trusted with my hair. I know that sounds stupid, but...
No, I don't trust anybody, so it's fine.
There's just one of those people, but then you're the person. I know, you're the person. You're my person.
Thanks, Nikki.
You're my hair person.
Yeah.
And same, she started coming to you too.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
It was like huge. I was actually so nervous the first time I did her hair.
Hilarious.
Because it's like, she was like a hair idol, right?
Yeah.
Your sister's like the supermodel walking around with great hair, great salon owner, successful business, really mad skills. And I always looked up to her, and then she's like in my chair asking me to do her hair. I'm like,
I can't do this.
I just kept myself the first time I did her hair too,
I
of
love
course.
it. That's the best.
I was like, whoopsies, I gotta go to the washroom.
Yeah. No, she adores you as well. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
So you're working on the salon. You're going to keep
working away
on
at the salon, and then keep doing my schoolwork. I'm currently residing in Goderich in a really nice 3-bedroom apartment that I'm lucky to have landed in this housing crisis that is right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay there and try and save as much money. But when I picture at the movie playing in my head, says that there's like this really great elderly couple, and maybe I did their hair once or something. And then they're all like, you know what? Our farmhouse is like really too much. We just can't maintain it anymore. And like, it's kind of falling in on itself.
Totally.
We want you to rent to own.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, are you serious? They're like, yeah, it's 3 acres. It's an Ontario style cottage. It's got like a little short, like brick wall, like a stone wall. And we want you and the kids to live there because we know you're going to be the best tenant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
And then we switch. They take my apartment, maybe.
Probably. That makes the most sense, right?
There's big stairs. I don't know. We'd have to put in a stair lift.
Yeah. Maybe they're not that old.
There's enough
Maybe
room
they're
for a
just
stair
retired.
lift. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just in case.
We don't have any grandchildren. Your children are like our
children.
children. That's like what the situation was, right?
If you're Nat's client and you own a farmhouse, then.
And you want all of the grass to turn into medicinal meadows.
Yes. She's your girl.
I'm your girl.
She's your girl.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been so awesome. I know you were really nervous about this, but you're so good at it. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
Cheers to you, Nikki.
Cheers to you, buddy. We'll talk again, hopefully in a couple of weeks with a new podcast.
Yeah.
Cheers.